From Adam Smith, we already learned that there are at least two things that could drive economic growth. They are saving and extension of markets, right? And there are two more things we want to mention in this video, but we will just do that briefly because we would leave more details for us to discuss later this semester. Okay, and the first thing is there are two characteristics of the market economy Adam Smith mentioned in his book. Okay, they are highly decentralized and the private ownership of property. Now, highly decentralized or decentralization basically means in a market economy, there should be many buyers and sellers on the market. And for most of the time, there's no single buyer or seller who has the influence upon the market price, market-wide influence. Okay, and so that's how the market can achieve the highest level of efficiency, right? And if you recall, what we learned from Econ 100 and 294, which is intermediate microeconomics, then you should know that when we do the welfare analysis, for the perfectly competitive market, that's where we can find the highest level of efficiency, right? When we talk about the oligopoly or monopoly, we would find there's the loss of welfare, okay, like the debt loss, deadweight loss, and so the highly decentralized is the first thing, first characteristic of the market economy. The second one is there should be a very strong protection of property right, okay, or the private ownership of the properties. And this is because, to assume that the economic agents on the market, including buyers and sellers, make the decision to maximize their benefit or profit. It has to be like, for example, if we're talking about the producers, they need to be sure that they own the output, okay, and the profit. All right. Otherwise, again, where they could have the incentive to maximize their benefit or profit, right? And this strong protection of the private ownership of properties should be provided through the legal system and the political institutions, okay? And these two characteristics of the market economy, as mentioned earlier, will be discussed later this semester, especially when we take a look at the Chinese economic takeoff. Okay, and there's a fundamental transition for the Chinese economy from the centrally planned socialist economy to a free, relatively free market economy. Okay? Over there, we're going to discuss again more in depth about these two characteristics. Okay. Another thing Adam Smith mentioned in his book is the role of state. Okay, what the national government should do in a market economy. Basically, Smith argued that it should be what's called laissez-faire, which is a French term. It means, simply speaking, just let it be. Okay. In economics, laissez-faire means let the market be or let the market alone. Okay. In other words, we should reduce the government intervention on the market to the minimum level. Okay. Or put it differently, the smaller the government, the better or more efficient the market. Okay, again, that's what Adam Smith argued. Okay, and in a market economy, that's what the government should do. Okay. However, we would like to, raise this question for you guys to think about at this moment. Is that true among the Asian economies? Okay, is that true among the Asian economies? Do you think the Asian economic miracle is partially because of their smaller governments? Do they actually have smaller governments? The answer is probably no. Okay. Now, there are more, again, pieces of evidence we're going to discuss later this semester. Here, let me show you one thing, okay, as the supporting evidence. Okay. This is about the infrastructure spending. Again, a comparison across regions. Okay. Now, here, when we look at how much these economies spend on their infrastructures, including airports, ports, railways, roads and powers, and other things, we got to remember, because the infrastructure investment, it will take an extremely long period of time to make a profit or to get your investment back. So the private businesses are not that interested in investing in infrastructure. Okay, so oftentimes, as you could imagine, if you build a highway, a railroad, it may take more than a decade for the investors to get their money back. Okay, and more than a decade, these investors themselves probably don't even know if they're still going to be on the market. They're going to survive. They're still going to, in this business, right? Why they would like to invest or put millions or billions of dollars into this deal, where through which they could not make a profit in the short run, right? So across the nations, no matter when we look at China, India, or United States, UK, you would find that government plays an extremely active role in infrastructure spending. Okay, like in the United States, most of these interstate highways are constructed and financed by the federal government budget, right? And here on this chart, you can actually find that, as the title suggests, China spends more on economic infrastructure annually than North America and Western Europe combined. Okay, so these numbers you see are the percentage in GDP. Okay, China spent 8.6% of its GDP on infrastructure. Okay, India 4.9%. Developed Asia and Oceania, which is the island economies of the Pacific Ocean, 4.6%. Other emerging Asia, which means the developing but faster growing economy in Asia, 3.6%. Again, these numbers are higher or much higher than the other regions like Africa, United States, Canada, which is only 2.5%, Western Europe 2.5%. Okay, so again, this is the evidence that in Asia, their governments are actually are more active. Okay, sometimes even works or play like the leader of the economy. Okay, and they're actually pulling the economy forward, okay, which is quite different from the Western societies or economies. Okay. Now again, why so? Okay, like why in Asia we find that there was no laissez-faire. Okay, or again in some countries during some periods of time there's a heavy influence or intervention of the market on of the governments on the market, but they still eventually have the economic prosperity. Okay, and what is the cultural background of that? Okay, so we're gonna discuss this later this semester.